Okay, here we go. In physical science class, the state of Michigan has a bunch of, they're called benchmarks, and those are things that we're supposed to teach you. And among those benchmarks, there is an equation called speed equals distance over time. This is Newton's second law, F equals ma. This equation relates force and area into pressure. Pressure equals force over area. This equation is density equals mass divided by volume. Maybe you guys have heard some of these before. And then this one is the formula for acceleration. Acceleration is the change in velocity over the change in time. There are plenty of other equations that we have to teach you in science, but these are the ones that we use with the 9th graders. So, what I want to do then in this video is I want to talk about messing around with these equations so that way you can get what you need from them. What do I mean by that? Well, just look at this equation right here. S equals d over t. This equation works if I give you distance and time and I ask you to find speed. But what if I give you speed and distance and ask you to find time? Well, you need to be able to get the t by itself in this equation. So that's why I'm making this video, to see if you can, or to help you get different variables by themselves. So what I'll do then is I'll mess with this one, and let's see here. So if I want the t by itself, it's divided, it's on the bottom. I think one good trick here to teach you is to notice that this side is a fraction and this side isn't a fraction. Or is it? Because if I put this side over 1, that doesn't change it, right? Anything over 1 is still the same thing. And now when I look at this, I can go, oh yeah, I can do the bow tie method. I can cross multiply. So d times 1, that's just distance, equals speed times time. So that right there, that's one equation that might be helpful. If I gave you speed and time, then you could find distance. But what if I asked you for time? What if I wanted t by itself? Well, if I start with this equation, d equals s times t, if I want the t by itself, what I notice is it's multiplied by s. How do you get rid of a multiplied s? Or in other words, how do you undo a multiplied s? Well, you divide by s. So that cancels it out on this side, but whatever you do to one side, the math people tell us we have to do to both sides. So that means we wind up with time equals distance over speed. So if you can take something like this and turn it into that, and turn it into that, then that is a very good thing. So what I want to do here is I want to mess around with a couple of these other ones just to make sure that I do it a couple different times. So I started one that was a fraction. So I'll mess with Newton's second law here. I'll mess with F equals ma. Let me clear this junk up here. Okay, so F equals ma. Force equals mass times acceleration. Many of you probably aren't to that quiz yet, but you will be. Anyway, so what if I want either the a or the m by itself? Let's say I want the acceleration by itself. Well, all you got to do for this one is notice, oh, a is multiplied by m. So how do you get rid of a multiplied m? All you have to do is divide this side by m, and it cancels out. But whatever you do to the other side, but whatever you do to one side, you got to do to both sides. So a equals f over m. So the same thing works for getting rid of the a if you wanted to. M winds up equaling f over a. So there's a second one. Let's see. Some of you have probably already eyed this and gone, uh-oh, what's that? That's a triangle. That's scary. The triangle is just a fancy way of saying change in. In other words, this triangle here, we science geeks call this delta. That's the Greek letter d. I would read it like this. It's final velocity minus original velocity. So since we're really lazy, we just write the abbreviation. Delta v is the same thing as that. So anyway, this is something that I address in another one of these science math videos. So let me mess with one more of these. Let's mess with this one. I'm gonna pick something to get alone. Let's say, how about a really fast, easy one? What if I want F by itself, or force? Well, I could do the cross multiplying thing. I could do, okay, F times 1 is F, and that equals P times A. That's pretty easy. I could have done it like that. That's a breeze. Or I could have done it like this. P equals F over A. I could have gone, oh, okay. If I want the F by itself, and it's divided by A, how do you undo divided a? Well, you multiply by a. When you multiply by a, it cancels out. But whatever you do to one side, you got to do to both. So f equals p times a. You get the same thing no matter how you do it. So, you know, some kids will do it one way, some kids will do it the other way. But either way, you get the right answer. So this is a good start toward passing the Manipulate an Equation quiz. There's a couple more videos. One of them is on how to deal with like things that are squared and square roots. And there's also one dealing with stuff like this, where you've got fractions and pluses and minuses and stuff.